Many thanks to our friends at the 5. Welcome to Hannity. This is a Fox News alert. Major breaking news tonight. The Department of Justice has appointed former FBI Director Robert Mueller as a special counsel to oversee the investigation into Russian election interference or possible interference. Tonight, Laura Ingraham, Mike Huckabee, David Limbaugh, Geraldo Rivera, Dennis Kucinich, Lou Dobbs are all here with reaction. But first, everything we have been telling you since November the 8th has been coming to fruition as I explained last night in an unprecedented move. 5 powerful groups are now aligning to take down President Trump. Their goal is simple. They do not want President Trump to govern, and they will do anything and say anything to stop him from enacting the agenda you elected him to enact. We're going to explain tonight what you can do and how to fight back. And that's tonight's opening monologue. All right, so last night we told you about the 5 groups that are aligning to stop President Donald Trump. Now, these groups are, by the way, all the swamp that needs to be drained. Let me explain. Number one, you've got the Destroy Trump media, perhaps among the worst. They're bitter. They are hostile every night, constantly coming up with one bizarre conspiracy theory after another, lie after lie after lie. You got group number 2, the Democrats. Totally unhinged. They still can't get over the fact Donald Trump won and Hillary lost. Number 3, perhaps the most dangerous, the deep state. They're targeting President Trump by selectively leaking information, true or not true, almost now on a daily basis. They are at war with the President of the United States. Number 4, the Never-Trumpers. All right, groups like National Review, the Weekly Standard, and people who never thought or wanted Donald Trump to win, never thought he could win. Now, they're now looking to be vindicated. They want relevance once again because they're so important and they were proven so wrong in 2016. Number 5, establishment Republicans. Now, they're not so much a danger. They never supported President Trump, never supported his agenda, and they're now looking for any excuse because they're afraid of their own shadow. They were always afraid that they get blamed for a government shutdown. But the bottom line is this, make no mistake about it, these 5 groups are directly threatened by President Donald Trump because his presidency means the destruction of everything they stand for and the old way of how Washington, D.C. works. Now, if the president succeeds, it means they fail, they're out of business. So what's happening? They're doing everything they can possibly do to try and stop all of that from happening. Now, let me remind you. Now, these are people, remember, they openly laughed at, mocked President Trump's candidacy. They thought it was the funniest thing ever. He can't win. You may remember this.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
We better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next, I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on to that.
Sorry to laugh. Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
He can't win, the funniest thing ever. And you remember election night? I remember election night well. I was sitting in my bed, literally tuning channel to channel to channel. After Donald Trump won, all across the television dial, it was a funeral. They couldn't believe it. It was shock and awe. Remember this.
America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying. Yeah. This is a sadness. It is a mourning moment for those people, and it is a moment filled with fear. Filled with fear.
Our country is about to face some serious crises, and so, I mean, buckle up. Your country needs you.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
Now that shock has given way to anger and real bitterness on their part. And since that day, they have now been relentlessly pushing bizarre, tinfoil hat, conspiracy theories, lies, all in an attempt to take down President Trump. Don't believe me? We've got the videotape all for you.
Wouldn't it be nice if it was just completely, totally, absolutely impossible to suspect that Vladimir Putin orchestrated what happened in Syria this week so that his friend in the White House could have a big night with missiles and all of the praise he's picked up over the last 24 hours. Wouldn't it be so nice if you couldn't even in your wildest dreams imagine a scenario like that?
I'll say it again. This Russian connection just keeps building, and every time it builds and expands, you have to wonder if Trump himself isn't worried about what's swirling around under the covers.
CNN has learned new details of the FBI investigation into potential links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government.
Specifically, Willie, I think what it means is that a federal judge found that people in Trump's organization were colluding with the Russians.
See what's happening? They're moving breathlessly, and I mean breathlessly. The hysteria on television every day and night. They're going from one manufacturer scandal to the next manufacturer scandal to the next lie, and they're creating feeding frenzies, all in the hopes their smears, lies, attacks are going to stick and lead to President Trump's downfall. Now, just look at the Trump-hating Washington Post story saying that President Trump gave the Russian foreign minister and ambassador classified information while they were visiting the White House last week. Okay. It was denied by the Trump administration officials who were actually in the room. But they have their sources, outside sources and sources formerly in the administration and sources from Mars, apparently. And that's only one of 3 stories the Washington Post has gotten wrong in just the past 2 weeks. Now, the Washington Post, just like the rest of the destroy Trump media, has no credibility. And it's why our friend Newt Gingrich has very wisely said and is now saying he is, quote, personally offended by the American news media and that they're, quote, disgusting and destructive. That's the only way to describe it. The former speaker is right. And it goes along with every single thing that we have been saying on this show. And now, predictably, this destroy Trump alliance, they're wetting their pants over the New York Times report that cites a memo, James Comey, claiming that President Trump asked the now former, fired, disgruntled, failed FBI director to end the investigation into Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. He took notes. After all, it's his word against Trump's, but the media is believing him and believing what he's saying. Now, you got the predictably deranged Democrats. They're unhinged allies. They're not wasting this opportunity. They're now calling for President Trump's impeachment, and they know no facts. Don't believe me? Here's your honest media at work lying to you as usual.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice.
Are we getting closer and closer to the possibility of yet another impeachment process?
After watching the Clinton impeachment, I thought I'd never see another one. But I think we're in impeachment territory now for the first time.
We are well on our way to impeachment because I think there's a clear set of facts that show obstruction of justice.
This is heading toward the end, right? It has to be, right? It feels that way.
No, actually wrong, in spite of all the foaming at the mouth, because the media and the Democrats think this is their chance. They've got to get the president now while they got time. Now, unlike the Democrats and the destroy Trump media and their running wild conspiracy theories, here on this program, we actually care about truth and about facts and about reality. Donald Trump is not getting impeached over the James Comey deal. Now, as we explained in great detail on Monday, James Comey deserved to be fired. He wasn't the so-called champion of truth. He was an utter and complete failure. He was a national embarrassment. His conduct was shameful. We explained how he disrespected the Constitution, the rule of law, equal justice under the law for every American, how he created a 2-tier justice system, one for Bill and Hillary Clinton and one for the rest of us. Now, Comey himself laid out the case against Hillary Clinton, committing felony after felony with her private email server, and explained how she broke several laws with her, quote, extremely careless behavior. Remember, the standard is grossly mismanaged, grossly inappropriate, gross negligence. That's the standard legally. Take a look.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time. That's the lowest level of classification. Separate from those, about 2,000 additional emails were up-classified to make them confidential. Those emails had not been classified at the time that they were sent.
He described felonies, but then guess what? Comey played politics. He gives Hillary Clinton a free pass. Remember Christian Saucier? He got a full year in prison. He took 6 pictures of inside a submarine he was working on and serving on. Now, the same goes for the Clinton Foundation. Remember Peter Schweitzer? He exposed the pay-to-play schemes at the foundation and the extremely suspicious Uranium One deal. Remember, Hillary Clinton herself gave a waiver that allowed 20% of American uranium to go to Vladimir Putin, the real Russian connection. The Clintons stuffed their pockets with millions and millions and millions of dollars while she was serving as Secretary of State, and Comey didn't think it was important enough to even investigate. Then, of course, we all care about the Constitution, or Fourth Amendment privacy rights. Well, we know the Obama administration, during a campaign season, 600% increase, that they surveilled, unmasked, and leaked then the name of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. That's a felony. That's a violation of the Espionage Act. In fact, it's the only crime that we actually know was committed in this whole Russia conspiracy theory, and the media never talks about it. Now, Comey once again had a reason to act, and he didn't act. Now, James Comey, he didn't do his job. He got fired. Now he's a bitter partisan, and he's out for blood. He's a disgruntled, fired ex-employee. And frankly, anything he has to say for himself in a memo, well, first, it's his word versus Trump, but it's meaningless. Donald Trump's not getting impeached over this. And it's only a matter of time. What did I say the day after he got fired? Comey will get a multi-million-dollar book deal, a movie, a miniseries, primetime special, Diane Sawyer, well, maybe even George Stephanopoulos. Why not go totally in for the Clintons, and probably an MSNBC contributorship. Now, he wants to be booked on Rachel Maddow, Steve Colbert, Bill Maher, the biggest Trump haters in the country. Now, if James Comey's so concerned about this dinner with the president, why didn't James Comey immediately go to the Department of Justice and sound the alarm? By the way, he had a legal obligation to do so. As my colleague Greg Jarrett pointed out, Comey may have, in fact, broken 2 laws by not coming forward if he thought this was an attempt at obstruction of justice. Look at 18, U.S. Code 4. Whoever having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals and does not as soon as possible make known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Oh, 3 years. And according to 28 U.S. Code 1361, the district courts shall have original jurisdiction of any action in the nature of mandamus to compel an officer or employee of the United States or any agency thereof to perform a duty owed to the plaintiff. And why last week during a congressional hearing did the acting FBI director, Andrew McCabe, say this?
I think the American people want to know, has the dismissal of Mr. Comey in any way impeded, interrupted, stopped, or negatively impacted any of the work, any investigation, or any ongoing projects at the Federal Bureau of Investigations?
The work of the men and women of the FBI continues despite any changes in circumstance, any decisions. So there has been no effort to impede our investigation to date.
This is so important. This Comey story is just part of the larger puzzle tonight. This is where I want you to really pay close attention. It is another piece. You've got these 5 powerful groups actively trying to take down a sitting United States president. These 5 forces are trying to create enough confusion and doubt through their innuendo because they're trying at the very least to stop President Trump from doing the job that he promised you he would do. Now, they want to keep the current system perfectly intact because that's where they maintain their own power. So many of you are writing me. You're worried about the theatrics, the hysteria in the media. You're worried about the Democrats calling for impeachment. You're worried about the deep state and the leaking. You're worried about never-Trumpers that now they're feeling vindication and relevancy again that I told you about. You know, I often say on my radio show and in life, let not your heart be troubled. Here's my advice to you tonight. It's time for you to stand up and fight. You voted for the economy. You voted for the economy and the plan to grow the economy to get people off of poverty, out of food stamps, and back in the labor force, and get the home ownership rate at a 51-year low back up again. You voted for all those things, lower taxes, 7 brackets to 3. You voted for extreme vetting. You voted for Obamacare, repealing and replacing. It's happening. You voted for a stronger posture to defeat ISIS. You voted for a much stronger military. And more importantly, you voted to drain the swamp. Here's my advice to you. If you voted, if this was your dream for America in November, stop wringing your hands. Start fighting for the things that you voted for. This is a real, clear threat to what you wanted in November. Get engaged. This battle is now being fought for the hearts and minds of the American people. Losing can't be an option. And coming up, Laura Ingraham joins us next with reaction to tonight's monologue and also tonight.
No politician in history, and I say this with great surety, has been treated worse or more unfairly.
We have been saying this on this show for months. There is an effort to destroy Donald Trump's presidency. And also tonight, breaking news, former FBI Director Robert Mueller has been appointed as a special counsel to oversee the, quote, Russia investigation. Maybe we'll get some answers. We'll get reaction from Geraldo Rivera, David Limbaugh, and also tonight, former Congressman Dennis Kucinich is saying about the deep state, sounding the alarm that people in that community are trying to take down the president. Finally, a Democrat willing to address the deep state intelligence leaking. He'll join us along with Governor Mike Huckabee straight ahead.